First story. My wife has been accused of a threesome and sending explicit material to a former friend, which is driving me crazy. She's denied it, but rumors persist, and another friend claims to have video proof. I'm unable to find peace, and unsure how to handle the situation. How do you find out the truth? My wife has been accused of having a threesome, having sex with a former friend, and it's driving me mad. We've discussed boundaries, and I made it clear that I never want to be in a situation where I have to question things. This friend was very selfish and manipulative, and our friendship had its ups and downs. My wife always said she hated him and didn't like him but was still polite and friendly. At first, she told me they had snapped before we met, and he sent her an explicit picture, which she dismissed harshly. However, after a few uncomfortable interactions, it emerged that she had flirted with him and wasn't as innocent as I had believed. She reportedly sent him a video of oral sex. He also claims she sent nudes, but she denies this. It's become difficult to believe either side. I tried to move past it, but we stopped speaking to him. Although my wife wanted to remain friends with his wife, she visited them without me multiple times, which I didn't like but chose not to control. Later, it came to light that she had been sharing very personal details about our relationship and issues with him. This led to him confronting her and creating conflicts with me and some of our friends, all based on lies. We have since cut him out of our lives, but there are now rumors about threesomes or other inappropriate behavior involving him and his wife. While my wife is not promiscuous and has few partners, she is easily influenced, which has caused issues in the past. I've repeatedly asked her if there's any truth to these rumors, but she gets very defensive and insists it's all false. Now another friend is claiming there is video proof, though I haven't seen it. This friend says he has or knows about it, but I've been unable to get any concrete evidence from him, and he isn't very credible. I'm extremely disturbed and need to know the truth. I'm struggling to eat, sleep, or find peace. What should I do? My wife has difficulty owning up to things, especially when she knows she's wrong, although she typically behaves well. We all make mistakes, and she has been known to lie in bad situations. Any advice would be greatly appreciated. I can't say I have seen definite evidence, however, just red flags that could be nothing but look very bad. I want to believe her and part of me does, but I feel something just doesn't feel right. Thank you for replying. I really appreciate it. I have a feeling you're right too. That's why I'm so dang conflicted. If I was to do the test, I'd set up real. I don't like making idle threats tbh. Just not me. Do you recommend telling her this very sternly? I have directly pressed this issue, but the couple are very shady and we do not talk anymore. The friend who alleges video says he just saw it but doesn't have it or access to it. He also only spoke about this to other people and did not directly tell me himself. However, I know it is true that he goes around and states this. Timeline is, we get together. I tell her shortly that I'm going to see the husband guy friend. She tells me about snaps and basically that he was trying and sending things, but she was like nah. Then I won't cut him off and she finally tells me about her part when they snapped. We weren't together so who cares except for you kept that from me and I found it to be malicious. I continue to hang out with him and he is honest to me about it. Except maybe the nudes IDK. Conflicting stories but who cares? She becomes close to the wife and heavily under influence. She talks shit on him but is still friendly and accepting. I fall out with the husband. She still goes over there. We start talking again. He conveys to me all the things said and then everything just rolls downhill. Second story. Not your typical cheating story. My wife, 51F, has been cheating on me, 52M, for over a year. This is a long and winding road. It's complicated and we've both done everything we can to fuck up our marriage, but somehow we're still here. We met about 10 years ago and fell in love instantly. She was divorced and I was in the process of divorcing after a 2-year separation. It starts with me. hiding a sex addiction that I didn't even know I had until 4 years ago when she outed me. I probably knew, but I wasn't admitting it to myself or anyone else. I was masturbating a lot and talking to other women and men about sex, but our bedroom was mostly dead. When she found out, she was hurt, angry, devastated. It destroyed trust that she did not give up easily but had given to me. But she stayed and did her best to understand what I was going through. It took me 3 years to start to pull myself out of that, and in that time I did not show any sexual interest in her at all. We didn't talk much about it, but she had resigned herself to loving me, but that I would never be sexually interested in her, and she tried to make peace with herself about that. On 2023, she met someone, and she realized she wanted to have sex, and the only way to have that was outside of our marriage. At about the same time, I'm finally starting to have my own sexual desires to fix the physical parts of our relationship that had been missing. This was obviously confusing to her and frankly hard for her to accept. I found out she was seeing someone else, and she admitted it but also said she wasn't going to stop because she didn't trust me and didn't feel wanted by me. At one point, she told me she was fine if I wanted to have sex with someone else, but she didn't want to know about it. Through last summer, we had a couple of big fights and conversations about our relationship, and I thought she was done with that. April 2024. She tells me she's been talking to this guy who lives in another state but travels to our area from time to time, and they've been having sex for the past year. My turn to be hurt and devastated. Then in May, things come to a head, and she says she needs a few days to think about things, and I find out she went to her boyfriend's town to break up with him. I had found a lot of evidence that their relationship, specifically lingerie with his name on it, and I said something about that while she was on her way to break it off with him, and she gets pissed off, and ends up having sex with him again, then breaking it off. She called me while she was driving home to tell me everything and that it was over and she wasn't going to talk to him or see him again. So we have been working on our relationship and being more honest and open than we've ever been. We started having sex again, although not regular yet. Things seemed like they were getting better. Then I had to take a couple of trips for work. She ends up being mad at me because I seemed like I was acting weird to her and being distant, and she tells me she and her daughter are going to an antique store that we went to and really liked. I caught her in the lie though and found out that not only had she started talking to him again, but had sex with him, and he stayed in her hotel room that weekend. I don't know why that part bothers me more than the sex, but it does. I am hurt and devastated all over again, not as much by her actions but by her lies. But I also feel guilty because I made decisions before that started all of this. We are both trying to work past all of this. We love each other very much, but our sexual relationship has gotten very messy and complicated. This may not be the right place for this story. I don't know why I need to share it. I haven't really told anyone, but I'm hoping sharing helps me figure out how to move past this and try to focus on our marriage. I'm probably stupid for staying. God knows I'm not perfect. I spent years neglecting her and I feel bad that I am so angry about this. She says I have every right to be angry, and I know she is trying to be honest with me about everything. When I asked her if she was seeing him again, she didn't try to lie because she knew that I knew. Unfortunately, I think her coping mechanism is this sexual relationship that she has with him. And she says it's nothing more than that, which I find hard to believe, just like mine was the porn, masturbation, fantasy, and texting with other women and men when I was in the height of my addiction. She says she will stop, but she cannot just cold turkey stop talking to him. I am trying to be patient and trust that she will eventually stop. She says she wants to, but she has to do it her way. I'm scared I am setting myself up to be hurt again. Tell me what an idiot I am. I can't help it, I love her so much. Third story. Is my wife cheating? Unfortunately, after 3 years of marriage and 2 kids later, second kid is on the way. I'm considering leaving my wife as I'm suspecting she's been unfaithful. To cut a long story short, I left Europe to be with her in our native country, until we managed to get her visa sorted so we can come over together and give our son a better shot at life. I'm literally losing the plot because although I'm 99% certain she has been unfaithful during the 3 years, I have no proof, just suspicions. And in the past couple months, my suspicions have grew so bad it sounds stupid, but reoccurring dreams. Her changing her phone's password, not that I've ever found her talking to anyone, but maybe she has a burner or burner accounts. But to give you a better idea, all the locals in my area have been looking at me differently, from the shopkeeper to the neighbors who go to the same coffee shop as me. I can't explain it, but they sort of look at me and gossip. It's so clear they're conversating about me, but what do they know? As I don't mix with these people. Bear in mind this is a small neighborhood, so everyone knows everyone, and at the very least these same people will know I left Europe to be with this woman. Sometimes I brush it off as maybe they're jealous, but I know the difference between envy and poking fun at someone's expense or situation. In my situation, they might know, or word got around, my wife is unfaithful when I'm abroad, or they know she's having an affair with someone else from my neighborhood when I'm not around. No, I'm not just imagining, these people are talking about me. Anyway, about my marriage, my wife used to do sex work when I met her, and I knew sort of what I was getting into, but I thought I'll overlook the past and made her my wife. My past isn't great either. The only difference is I wasn't getting paid to sleep around. That's not my issue though, and never has been. I'm very big and clear on infidelity though. Even as much as an emotional affair is enough for me to file for divorce, let alone a sexual one. I've brought it up, and she denies. She says bring me proof. But she is a compulsive liar and will lie to get herself out of a mess. The whole I swear on this, and that doesn't fool me. I know I went about it wrong, and it's wrecked the relationship now. I know from the way I've explained everything some people will side with her, but that gut feeling is usually right. The signs all point to her infidelity. Our sex life is good, as I've told you. We have a kid on the way, and we usually do the deed every other day. I want to be wrong about her, but I don't know. I need some advice. What would you do in this situation? I've heard some stuff that is downright unacceptable in this relationship, such as I was happier in my life before I met you. You know her past. After every fight she picks up her bags and my son and goes away to her sister's house for weeks. This time she left after a fight, so I told her no way in hell am I bringing you back. And it's been a month now. I plan to go back to Europe. It kills me that I might have to leave my children behind in this country, but if I stay with this woman, surely the outcome will be worse for everyone. If you got any questions, let me know and I'll explain further better. I'm just really confused right now and probably missed out a lot of important details. I'm not basing this just on dreams and weird looks from neighbors. How it sounds, she also has a wandering eye, which makes me sick to the point I don't even want to set foot with her outside, as it puts me on the edge. If I went into details about this marriage, you would probably tell me I should leave without even considering the fact she's been unfaithful. But when you got kids, it's not that simple. One thing I will not compromise on is cheating. I just wish I had solid proof. I'm sure if I had hidden cameras at home, etc., voice recorders in her car, I'd have that, but my trust and morals didn't let me monitor her in such an extreme way. And in hindsight, as I'm only with her almost a month at a time before going back to Europe, at time I probably should have. Fourth story. Found out the guy I liked was just using me after he died. I've always been a hopeless romantic. Ever since I was younger, I had this grand idea of meeting my person in a bookstore or a coffee shop, having some love at first sight moment, and being with them forever. I'm 23 now, and obviously, being a bit of an anxious, introverted mess and having some reality slapped into me that didn't really pan out. So here I am, 2023, minding my own business, doing what you do when you're bored and chatty, using Omegle. Listen, I'm not proud of it, but you do what you gotta when you're looking for some friends to game with and can only be yourself in a one-on-one conversation. Lucky for me, I meet this guy. We seem to hit it off. He doesn't give major creep vibes, and I hop on a game with him. Let me preface this by saying I really wasn't planning on falling for him. It is 3 a.m. and my humor being a bit of a mess. I even joked to him that he better not be interested in dating me. Which sounds vain, but I really just meant it as a joke, and honestly online sometimes you just gotta lay the land. The joke's on me cause I ended up falling for him very hard, and I thought he liked me too, but we'll get into that. I really tried so hard not to, like really hard. But he just seemed like everything I ever wanted, or at least I convinced myself of that. He was funny, and genuinely seemed interested in me. It was like talking to someone who saw me as a person. Plus he laid it on pretty thick when we first met. I've never been the prettiest girl, so maybe that's why it seemed to impact me more. Even though I'd tell him moo every time he complimented me. I told you I was trying hard not to fall for him. While talking he told me about his exes, one of which is his best friend who he still stayed close to, and is like sister to him. This is important for later. He really was laying it on thick. He said all the right things, and I just had so much fun hanging out with him. I'd never gotten this kind of attention before. The first guy I'd ever talked to, even somewhat romantically, used me as an online therapist and then ghosted me because he wasn't sure about me, so this was very, very new and very nice. So, time skip to January 2024. I made a mistake. He's no lifing a game. And I am scarred from that first guy feeling ghosted and neglected. I unadd him, after sending him an Instagram post. Listen, I'm not proud of it. I started working on the attachment issues I didn't realize I had after, but I don't think it mattered much. I think this moment caused a switch in his brain, a turning point in our relationship. After January, he started treating me a lot differently, a lot more perverted I guess, and less sweet. We'll get into why later. Time skip again to February. We get into a conversation. I'm upset, I confess to him, and he says he liked me back. We get into a call though and I make a mistake. He asks me if I regret it and I can't say anything. I don't regret it, but he always made me so nervous. My brain turns to mush. I don't know if it really is a good thing now since he still used me, or I let him use me since I thought I still had a chance months later, but I digress. Here comes the tea. He passes away. I don't know why, and I grieve him for a long time thinking he took his life until I got the nerve to message his best friend, who I genuinely hope never finds this because she's such a sweetheart. I don't understand why he did this to me when he had her. But I need to get this shit out. I can't tell her, it'll break her heart. She tells me that he passed away unexpectedly. And in our conversation I learned that they had been on and off dating this whole time. And that after the January incident, I guess, since the timeline is lining up, he called her and told her that he was all about her and done with me. Then apparently they were super lovey-dovey and got closer in January and February, the month that I confessed to him and he said he liked me back. I'm sick because what would he have done if I was honest? Dated both of us? Broken up with her? I don't know. It's tough trying to reconcile this guy who I thought I knew and then this new version of him. Anyways, as I was saying, the messages after January changed, and I still held on thinking he would get back to the person he was before, calling me cute and pretty, and saying he wants to make me laugh. He started asking me for pics, and me thinking that I had finally found the one. Funny, genuine, a bit mean but with a kind heart, I sent him some. Nothing super bad, no nudes, just outfit pics and feet. LOL. And I would relish in the attention because this was at this point the only way I knew I could 100% get positive attention from him. Now imagine this, I'm talking to basically his widow, and she wanted to know how he's texting me. I tell her to send me her messages from him, and I know that A, I can't ever show her how he texted me, and B, he didn't like me. I was just a side piece, a piece of meat. He was using me for sexual gratification. Thinking about how he texted her, how sweet, the pet names, the promises, made me realize that I was nothing to him. They talked every day and slept on call, but he never once told me he was seeing anyone. I even gave him ample opportunity to shoot me down. I told him multiple times that I liked him, but he never did. Yes, he didn't encourage it as much as before unless he wanted pics, but he also didn't stop me. He told me it was cute when I acted like a simp, and when I called him out for taking advantage of my crush on him, all he did was send a frowny face. I just wanted him to either tell me to stop or say he liked me back. I always thought he would, that we would end up together, and then he passed away. I feel broken. I liked him so much, and I'm so mad at him. The way he texted me makes me feel so wrong. Why on earth are you doing that? I want to put the images just to feel vindicated, but I really don't know. I know I'm at fault for building him up in my head, but why couldn't he have been honest? He didn't seem like the kind of guy to do this. He was always pretty respectful, and apologized when he made me uncomfortable, and didn't do things after I told him I didn't like them. He was funny and smart, and so sweet at times. He encouraged me to make art, and I bought so many games to play together. I had written him a letter, and was in the grief subreddit before this, crying my eyes out for a completely different reason. If you want to see how I felt about him before I learned he had a girl SMH, and why I still thought I had a chance before I had the wool pulled from my eyes. Now I'm just trying to cope with the heartbreak. My chest aches so much I don't know what to do. Anyway, if you've read this far, thanks. I think I'm done with love. I don't really care anymore. I really can't stand this heartache again. I would like to be able to separate how I feel with the good memories of him one day, because his GF says that she didn't think he meant to hurt either of us. But I don't know. Maybe one day. It just sucks because he's gone, so I can't even be mad or yell at him or get answers. All I can do is yell about him to my friends and cry. Thanks for listening.